Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. Today is episode number 237 on my journey to 1800, and we've been playing alright. We're over 1200. The goal is to get over 18 in a timely fashion and not take 3,000 episodes. But I'm not gonna lie, guys, I've been playing 10.5 for a long time. That's the time that I use in Rapid. I played a 15:10 game today, and I played basically a perfect game, and I wanted to show you guys it. So, let's get right into it. Today, guys, I played with 95.7% accuracy. I crushed. My opponent didn't play bad either, but I'm not gonna lie, I loved having the extra time to calculate, think on my opponent's time and everything too. My opponent didn't play like a perfect game. He did have a blunder, which kind of lost him the game, but we'll get into it. So he played a tricky line that I'm not familiar with. So we get into the Caro Kann. He plays the exchange variation, but then he immediately comes in the Panov to attack this pawn. Now I played a book move, knight to f6, defending the pawn. So if he takes, I take, and I'm good. And I also have my queen there. Now here he brought his knight out. Now he's got ample defense here. If he takes this, I take. He can take my knight, and I can take back, and we just have a big old trade. I decided to defend my pawn. Now I wanted to do something a little different. The reason that I played like this was closing in my light squared bishop. Excuse me, I'm having acid reflux. The reason I chose to keep my light squared bishop at home was to really reinforce this pawn, so that if he does take, I take, he takes, I can take back with the queen, and I have a solid pawn structure still at home. That was just kind of my thought behind it all. I didn't want to have my bishop here or anything. I just kind of wanted to stay solid. And I didn't mind my light squared bishop being at home for right now, because I felt like it was probably going to be a temporary thing. So he comes to pin my knight. This was the other reason why I wanted to really defend this, was because I just had a feeling he wanted to pin my knight. And I could have played a move maybe like h6, to prevent that. Like, here I could have played a move like h6 just so he can't get the pin. But I try not to move pawns around my king, especially since I'm a weaker player, like intermediate, player. I try not to move pawns around my king if I can avoid it. So here I took, which is not the best move. The best move is to get my bishop out, defend this, and just not worry about if they take. And the reason I didn't want to just play this immediately was because I was just imagining him taking, then he takes, and I take back, and he's just got pressure on this pawn, and all he has to do is try and build some more pressure. I don't know exactly how he would do that. Maybe a move like queen here, but which is kind of making me have to play a move like yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be able to defend the pawn at that point unless I would lose the pawn there. So that was why I didn't do it immediately, but I still played it. I just thought maybe I should take. I know he hadn't developed. I kind of helped him develop his light squared bishop with this move, which is also the other reason I didn't want to do it. But I felt like after he developed, he'd need to move his bishop again, because otherwise he's just staring at granite. And now I don't have to worry about this pesky pawn ever again. If he ever pushes, I got a little to think about there, but I thought this was all right. I castled. He moved his queen there. I thought this was a weird move. I didn't really know what he was like going for, except for maybe thinking about queenside castling, which I don't know. It seems just a lot smarter to kingside castle, in my opinion. But my opponent played that move. I played knight to c6, putting pressure on this pawn, also just mostly developing. I was thinking about putting my knight on d7, which I didn't think was a bad idea, but the reason I didn't do it was just because, not because it blocks my bishop, but because it blocks my queen's eyes on this pawn. And my goal was to put pressure on the pawn. If he pushes, I was actually thinking about playing a move like this. However, now that I look at it, I think he has a move like queen to b3, attacking my well, it's defended right now, but I think he could perform a series of trades at that point and maybe win a piece if I wasn't careful. So I was thinking like a move like this, and my knight's here. So yeah, if he did do a move like that, I don't know what I would play. I could maybe just bring the knight into the center at that point. If he takes, I take, he takes. Yeah, that doesn't work because my queen is overloaded. So I'd have to take with the pawn. So I wouldn't have wanted to do that. If he had found, he kind of stopped me from even thinking about that idea. But here, this just hangs a pawn because I have 2 defenders and he only has 1 now because he moved his queen to a funny square. So I took, he takes, and then I take. He builds this battery here, and the plan is pretty simple, I think, is to take, I take, and then I guess he just wanted to give this check and win a pawn. I was thinking about playing a move like g6 here. I thought for a little while here, and I ended up, I mean, you can see my time usage from 13:30 all the way down to 12:16. I'm still crushing him on the clock. He's been using a lot of time, but it took me a while, and I found this move, which attacks the bishop as well, so there is only one move, and that is to bring the bishop back. Now, you'll see he spends from 9:22, he goes all the way down to 7 minutes. He spends 2.5 minutes almost on the only move, basically, to not lose material. The best move here was not that. It was actually to do this to defend this. So it wasn't the only move. This is actually, I actually kind of like this better. It stops his little battery, but it keeps his like hopes and dreams alive of taking this knight. Because I can't take, and he's just building up pressure here. So my next move would have probably been h6 if he did that. He backs the bishop up. I played this move, which is apparently not the best move, but my thought is just simply to get the bishop here. If he put the bishop here now, I was just going to take. So he has more defenders than I do on this square currently. He's got 1, 2, 3. I only have 2. But if he did play this, if I moved my bishop here, if I played this and he plays like this, I can't move my bishop there anymore. It'll just get taken. So my snap move would have been take. And then I'm not so worried about the battery on the file anymore because it doesn't exist. So I played this move with the thought in mind of doing this, and knowing that if he did try to, like, you know, maybe attack my rook like now, and stop me from doing something like this, it wouldn't stop me because I'd just take. So I thought about all that, and he just castled queenside, and I was like, this has to be a mistake. So immediately, my thought is, get a rook to c8, pinning the, you know, just, I mean, he's got his queen. This is just bad, right? So my immediate thought is get the rook over to here, and probably take here, takes, and then I can just take the, so I'm like sacking a bishop for a pawn. He takes, but my rook can just take the knight, then pinning his queen to his king, and he would have to take, I would take, and I would win his queen. So that was my immediate thought. I was like, bro, this has to be bad. So I moved my bishop here to allow my rook to actually get to that square, and this was also a wonderful idea because he can't push this pawn now because of the rook. So we're pinning the pawn to the rook. He played this move, which is straight up a blunder. It just hangs a piece. And if you see this, he thought over 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 10 seconds on this move as well. So he thought 2 minutes about a blunder. I've done worse, but I'm just saying, like, he spent a lot of time here. I'm on 12 minutes where I felt like I've been like calculating and taking my time. I've been using his time to calculate. So I liked playing this time format, 15-10. I will probably do more games like this. I really enjoyed it. So here, he played this move, which is not the best move. I think his best move was just to move the king. He's still in trouble, but he pins his rook to his king. I use this opportunity to get my rook to c8 to attack. And my thought is I can win the pawn. I can also just drop my queen here and still do my little tactic here where I win the queen and get my piece and a pawn. Yeah, basically winning a pawn and a queen out of it for a rook and a bishop. A pawn, a knight, and a queen for a rook and a bishop is super good trade. So I took the pawn here. He attacks my queen. I backed my queen up here again with the idea simply to take this pawn first, right? I basically had the same tactic the whole time. I just never really got to use it. He then decides to... I kind of thought he was going to do this, too, when I backed my queen up here. So his rook is under attack is also... Like, when he played this move, he his rook is under attack from my bishop. So I figured when he wasn't understanding, like, this was a bad move because it took your rook off the back rank, and you didn't have to do that. You could just move your king over. And rooks, defend each other and are really powerful when you have them together. He took his rook off the back rank, unconnecting his rooks, and I had a feeling he was going to miss the fact that this would be a hanging piece, and he did, and he resigned. It is with a check. He could play all sorts of moves here to block. It's not... I mean, I'm completely winning, but it's not definitive yet. I still would have brought my queen back here and gone for the same tactic, probably. Even though the queen's not pinned to the king, that would have been kind of still my move that I was going to go for. That or trying to just win. I wanted to trade down everything. So once he hung the rook here, I was already up 5 points of material, but him hanging the rook gave me 10 points. So yeah, we played with basically perfect accuracy. I played like a 96%, played like a 2000, says chess.com, and my opponent played like a 1400. I think he played a pretty good game until he hung the bishop. And I did just record this video right after yesterday's video, so you guys will be seeing this a day after I recorded. But coming off of the game that I just played where I just hung 2 pieces, and you guys saw that yesterday, this feels a lot better, and I was a little... I felt confident enough today. Like, I'm very nervous to play any game of chess usually, but I felt confident, especially after the first game, that I was like, oh, that's got to be about as bad as I can play, because I mean I hung a lot of stuff in that game, even my queen there at the end, and that's where I resigned. So if you guys haven't seen yesterday's video, go check it out. It's fun. Yeah, this is how we did, guys. We're freaking moving on up in the world. I'm rated 12-17 again, so we made up for yesterday's loss completely, and we're good to go. I think in the future then I might continue trying to play these 15-10 games. I kind of like it. I liked 10-5. I have trouble getting games. This was an instant game. A lot of people must play 15-10. I think that having the option on chess.com without having to click see more options makes 15-10 a more popular time format, along with it just gives you more time to think. But 10-5, yeah, I have to like click the drop down menu and find 10-5 every time I go to play a game of chess, basically. So I kind of like this more. It gives me more time to think, and I guess it'll give you guys a longer video to watch, but probably a more instructive video. I assume that if I have time controls like this, maybe I'll play better. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. That's kind of like my thoughts on it, is I really enjoyed this, and I might continue to do the time format. I always play with increment. I like increment. I don't like losing games sheerly on time unless I'm going to play like blitz or something. I feel like rapid. I feel like it's nice to have increment. It just works. I still win games on time. People just they forget about the clock in rapid a lot of the time, so that just happens. But I like the 10-minute increment. I didn't really use too much of it in this game. I still had I had 11 and a half minutes on the clock still. But let me know what you guys think about this. I'm sorry I didn't live record this game. I just played it off camera, just kind of thinking, let's get a game in. Yeah, ended up being a really good game, so I wanted to show you guys. So hope you enjoyed today's video. I appreciate all of your support. You guys are awesome. I've really come to admire how some of you guys watch all my content and can help me, like give me advice and stuff. I really appreciate it, and yeah, I just wanted to thank you personally. So I will catch you guys tomorrow, and we're out.